Hello and welcome back to Friday Night League. My name is Percy Time, and I am here with EG's coach Artemis ahead of EG versus TL, which is coming right. Artemis, thank you so much for joining me. First things first, Goldenglue, the big signing of EG this week. We know that EG had interest in having a bigger roster, so why Goldenglue and why now?
Well, we've been looking at Goldenglue since he was dropped from Golden Guardians. We started conversations with him very quickly, and I think that coupled with the results we were seeing in scrims over the past 2 weeks and also the results of our stage games this past weekend made us decide that we needed some kind of change. And Golden fit in very naturally to the roster. He's the kind of guy who is not afraid to play for the team, and he just wants to do his job in whatever system he finds himself in. So he was a very natural fit. And as far as why Goldenglue, the name of the game is optionality. It's something we've spoke of before, where we are in a situation here at Evil Geniuses where we have 3 imports that we would really love to play, but unfortunately we can only play 2 right now. So what this does is it allows us to start a North American resident in the mid lane and play with both Huni and Bang, which is something that we know has very distinct strengths compared to our other rosters. So yeah, we were definitely excited when he became available. We started the conversations early, and this just seemed like the perfect time to slot him in.
And you talk about differences in the rosters. Can you expand a little bit about what Huni and Goldenglue kind of bring to this team, or maybe Huni and Bang, whatever combination it is that you see is kind of bringing something different to the table?
Sure. So I coached Huni before at Clutch Gaming during our run to Worlds last year. And Huni was absolutely instrumental in that run. The kind of leadership that Huni brings is really second to none in the LCS. And I haven't seen a player like him. When the team is functioning well at a high level and he has pieces around him that he can trust, Huni's the kind of guy who will really carry you through the mid and late game with his decision making and how decisive he is and how assertive he is. Not to mention just his veterancy, his champion pool. All these things make Huni a very powerful player when it comes to having him in your roster. And Goldenglue, like I touched on a little bit before, he's very much interested in figuring out his role within the system and executing that to a T. So for Goldenglue, I was actually very surprised with how strong of a player he was mechanically. I think that, at least from what we saw in scrims, rather. But there's always this meme around that Goldenglue is just like this mediocre NA player who will never really be exceptional. But we don't think that's the case at all. We were very, very pleased with the performances we've seen out of Goldenglue this week in scrims. But on top of his mechanical execution, his strengths are really his communication. I think that Goldenglue is one of the strongest communicators that I've had the pleasure of coaching, especially his in-fight communication, how he calls his own timers, how he calls enemy timers, how he's calling about positional movements within the fight in really dynamic high pressure situations. So I think that the two of them combined really take a lot of the burden off of Tristan or off of Zeyzal and allow him to focus more on his engages, more on his vision setups, and more on like the intrinsic qualities of what it means to be a support. So this is a very balanced roster, and it's a roster with really 5 intelligent players who are all communicating at a high level. And I think hopefully we should see some of that teamwork shine this weekend.
It's awesome. And then thinking about the differences between kind of spring and summer as we take a bit of a step back, obviously the expectations for the summer was that, the roster was going to be bigger, and obviously performance will be similar, if not better than spring. Kind of how's the season going for you and the rest of EG so far?
Well, we're sitting at 5-5, tied for 4th place. So not great, but not terrible. And I think we're in striking distance of where we want to be, which is the top 4 seeds come playoffs. Anything under the top 4 seeds, you won't get the double elimination, which is absolutely crucial to going deep in playoffs and qualifying for Worlds. And that's our goal, qualify for Worlds. And again, having the opportunity to bring in a roster with, Deftly and Jizuke or Jizuke and Kumo, whatever we want to do come playoffs, we'll have different looks that we can show these teams, determining by the meta, whether or not it's very much a team-focused Dragon first setup meta as it is now, or if we start shifting back to a more lane-focused, side lane-focused meta. I'm confident that with the pieces we have, we'll be able to field the best roster for the meta and for the matchup, and I'm confident that we'll make it to Worlds.
So it kind of brings me to this question, which is, you're 10 games in, 5-5 is not the worst record, as you said, but obviously not where the team wants to be right now. So why make these changes now? We know you wanted to have a 7-man roster, potentially have an 8-man roster. It seems that quite late into the season to be making changes. I mean, you signed Goldenglue right before the trade deadline, basically. So why is EG making these changes now when we're so deep into the season?
I think the answer is twofold. First, I don't think we're that deep into the season. We're only 10 games in, which is 1 game ahead of the 9, which is the halfway mark. So really, for all intents and purposes, we're halfway through the season. Second, we have some pretty tough matchups this weekend with Team Liquid and Cloud9. Both of these teams are at the top of the standings, and we can reasonably expect them to beat all teams underneath them. So as far as what this weekend does to our standings, like I said, we can trust Team Liquid and Cloud9 to beat all the other teams as well. So even if we do go 0-2 this weekend, we still have 3 weeks left, 6 games where we can start to make our run and climb the rankings and get to a higher seed, very similar to what we did in Spring Split, where I think after week 7, we were, again, in 5th or 6th place, and we ended up finishing the regular season in 2nd. So the fact that there is these 2 matchups this weekend that are both expected to beat us, at least from the outside, injecting a little variance into that process is never a bad thing. And on top of that, we also were struggling in scrims the past 2 weeks, and we also struggled on stage where we were losing games to much weaker teams from very, very winning positions. We had a 5K lead against CLG at 14 minutes and somehow let that game slip away. So the fact that we weren't beating teams that we knew we should be beating with the previous roster, as well as knowing that we had 2 very tough matchups this weekend, it seems like the perfect time to get this roster experience, to look at them in scrims, look at them on stage, see how they click, and then make a decision for the coming 3 weeks.
Well, certainly feels like a bold decision, but one that certainly has not been made lightly. So, Artemis, best of luck with your matchup both today and throughout the weekend, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Julian.
All right, well, I can't wait to start this game, so I'm going to go do it. Bye.
Julian?
Hey everybody, let's play some more League of Legends.
Hey!
Time. I'm joined here by Braum for EG versus TL.
What a great interview, man. That was
Thank
probably everything I could have possibly wanted to ask EG about this split and this changes. And we knew whether it's the communication, whether it's it frees up Zeyzal and allows him to focus more on his own gameplay so that maybe Bang can shine a little bit more. So, I mean, I don't have anything else to ask. If anybody's got any questions about EG, just rewatch that because this just brings you to full speed.
Honestly, full credit to Artemis. He's incredible interview, really insightful guy. Clearly, thinks a lot about how his players interact and works very well with the other coach there as well. So excited to see what this EG can do. Again, lots of questions. It was cool to get some insight about how it's been going preparing for this match, but how this team actually plays is going to be very different because even Goldenglue actually had a talk today with Infant Global. He was talking a little bit about how his experience went, and it was one of those things where scrims went so well that you would be foolish to not play this roster.
Oh, but
so
I've
now
heard
we
the
have
story.
To see it. Exactly, that's the problem. We've seen this so many times. In practice, things work, and when you get to the LCS stage, it just doesn't work the same way. So, TL, the second best team right now, extremely consistent, very solid across all their positions. Going to be very tricky to unseat them, but with a new roster, EG are looking at their tough weekend and figuring out ways in which they can attack their opponents.
That's the thing about TL, right? They're really tough because, yes, they have these games that look like a team that has this record shouldn't be having them, but unlike all the teams below them, they actually still close them out, right? They have been able to consistently win, and at the end of the day, that is the mark that has put a lot of these teams in the boat where they're trying to make a lot of swaps because they feel like the game is slipping away versus at least you can close it out and you can sigh your relief and feel like, okay, we can actually upgrade and feel or improve on what is making these games so chaotic and still have a record that relieves you of the stress of not making those seeds in playoffs.
And in Team Liquid's defense, some of their games that looked a little bit messy, that were very close, where it feels like they kind of got away with a couple wins there. Since then, they've actually, the next week, they cleaned up everything. And they've been, very methodical, not particularly exciting to watch at times, but they have been extremely effective. And to be honest, really clean macro play and just super solid players have been kind of the thing that has brought Team Liquid 4 championships in a row, which has never been done before in the LCS. So even though their spring wasn't all that exciting, obviously, if you're a Team Liquid fan, they're still playing the style that they're used to playing and that they're very successful with. So again, probably was saying on the desk earlier today, can't blame them for how they're playing. It's not all that interesting, especially when you compare them to the likes of Cloud9, which are constantly pushing the limit and trying to go for every single fight. But hey, they're the second best team in the league for a reason, at least by record, because they do win and they win often.
Slow and steady is a very valid strategy to win. And at the end of the day, come international play, what we really want is that teams have developed their own style and really honed in on it. So if Team Liquid is about just slowing the pace of the game down, focusing on their objectives, and still coming out ahead, so be it. If the team that wins the Worlds ends up being a team that plays this style, we are going to be praising Team Liquid for having such incredible foresight to have thought about playing the game this way from the beginning. So if they continue to win like this, I think we have to turn the ship around and say, all right, Team Liquid, I think you're onto something.
I think the other thing is, like, everyone remembers, like, the high points of that 4-time winning Team Liquid, right? You know, Double Lift was on the team, and everyone remembers him flashing in and smashing a lane with CoreJJ, and, like, Broxah comes in, and you're like, this guy's super first blood, hungry, like, aggressive jungler, and he's alongside Jensen, and finally he's going to be unlocked in the 2v2 again, and they're just going to beat up everyone, and, like, that's not the way they're playing, and that's fine. Like, you don't have to play the way that people want you to play. You have to play the way that gets you wins. Because, you know, we can complain all we like, Crumbs, but if Team Liquid are winning, there's not a whole lot to complain about. So let's talk about the EG side a little bit more, because, again, there are lots of questions. Now, who are you more excited for as far as changes go, Crumbs? Because I think it's an interesting discussion. Is it Goldenglue or is it Huni?
So for me, I'm going to be excited more for Huni because we haven't seen Goldenglue for 3 months. Not really sure what to expect. We know what EG liked about him, which is, okay, we like the champion pool, we like the communication, the leadership aspect. But for Huni, I think that him as a player has seen a very different approach to playing the game when he played in Academy all of this split, because he has 7 lifetime games on Ornn. Now, if you followed Huni for some time, you know he loves playing carries. He's got the Lucian top, he's got the Jaces, the GPs, whatever. He can play Quinn, Cassiopeia, anything that is a carry top. 3 of the 7 Ornn games happened this split in the Academy, or in the LCS, and the Spring and Academy. So he has just been really thinking about the team this time around, and I think that's what EG liked about him. We're going to go straight into a halfway done draft.
Yeah, we're in there. Let's catch up. Rumble, Ashe, Ezreal, Aphelios, Twist of Fate, on are the bands. First pick Kalista, picked Senna and Sett, Azir, Lee Sin, and Orianna, and we are all caught up. Apologies for getting in so quickly, but due to the delay, we did have to get in there. But thankfully, we're going to catch the back end of the draft.
And the one that I think might be surprising to people is the Rumble. Huni has been playing Rumble a ton, and if you remember his days from Clutch, which is the pivotal player that was carrying a lot of the games from that team, and we heard from Artemis, who also was a coach there, that one of the reasons why he liked Huni was a lot of the decisiveness that he had. Rumble is a fantastic champion for that. You drop that ultimate, it's time to go. So getting rid of it, one of his best picks, if not the best one, I think just shows a big sign of respect, especially knowing that on red side, he could just save it for last and smoke Team Liquid with it.
Ooh, Taric ban away from CoreJJ alongside the Thresh, so losing some of the power picks alongside the Kalista. Wukong also being lost for EG, which you can, of course, play in a bunch of different roles. Also kind of fun to see. I mean, again, this mid lane matchup does not invoke excitement, but certainly I think you want Goldenglue on something very comfortable, and Jensen has been taking Azir in a lot of situations because it kind of feels like he's the one that, like, feels like he has to be more of, like, the insurance policy in the late game. So he's happy to take Azir, especially when he's meta. He's so good on that champion.
Not only can he be the insurance policy, but we've seen what he can do when he's got somebody next to him to punish these immobile mid laners. Last week, it was the Azir into the Syndra. He had a Shen to back him up and picked on Belter nonstop. This time, against an Orianna, you can kind of do the same thing. Lee and Azir are very strong at post 6 at punishing these immobile kind of champions. So I want to see if Broxah and Jensen team up, or maybe we get to see Impact's Shen again. It would definitely be a treat. We got 2 top lane bans in the second rotation for Team Liquid, so they're trying to set up Impact for success. Let's see what he drafts next.
Bard on the menu, perhaps? Been a pretty powerful champion. CoreJJ's played it a couple times already, and there is going to be Bard locked in for TL. So now we need a top laner. And I guess you should operate under the assumption that they're giving Huni counterpick. Of course, Huni could have this Sett if he wanted to, but Sett could also go support or farming, depending on who wants to play it there alongside the Senna. So lots of options here, but Mordekaiser seems pretty stable, and that will be the selection for Team Liquid.
Okay, so Mordekaiser for Impact now. Huni has been playing Ornn, Rumble, and GP, and Sett. That's all he's played this split. So either he's going to be taking the Sett and not giving us something new, which would just be thinking about Svenskeren for the last pick, which is not something that is typically what Evil Geniuses goes for, except this time they are, because that is a Karma with Huni. Boy, this is really what we got.
Yeah,
Karma
back,
all right. Sure.
Can bully the lane, potentially. Karma's like a pretty robust laner. That does, of course, mean Sett jungle for Svenskeren, which is one of the many possibilities alongside Sett. I think of interest to me, just looking at these compositions, is Bang on the Senna. Not necessarily because he's playing Senna, because I think plenty of marksmen are quite competent on this champion, but it's alongside a traditional support here in Braum. So this could be something we actually don't see as often, which is Senna's just taking a traditional farming role as a marksman. Seen it a couple times. I definitely remember Mash doing it this split in Academy. I don't think he did it in the LCS. But
we have to apologize to him. We have to apologize to Mash because we were criticizing it. It's like, hey, this is not that good because he's status farming, but it's picked up around the world nonstop. It's getting mixed reviews here and there. Some people don't even get to take it off the ground. The thing about it is that if you get going and you hit mid to late, even, you're just an absolute beast on this champion. She's incredibly strong. So it's all about getting past that early stage where you don't have that big of a wave clear.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the ability of Senna to empower, a different farming champion in bot lane is really cool. We've seen this, actually, Zeyzal played Rumble alongside support Senna, which was one of the cooler picks of spring. We've seen Wukong, we've seen Sett. You can do just about anything, and that's all well and good. But Senna's also like a perfectly good champion, and she's fine just farming as well as a regular marksman. Was designed, in fact, to be able to play both roles. So, it's not as cool, I guess, is the reason why we didn't like it as much. But
it can be cool with Huni when they group up. I think what they want to do is have the shield on Bang so that they just have Bang be the star of the show. You got the Braum to CC anybody if anybody gets close. You've got the Karma, the Orianna shield. So they really would just want a complete death ball on EG. So it can be interesting to watch. It's just something that is not as flashy as what we've been used to when it's Malphite Orianna catching you off guard. And you're like, yay, Shockwave.
I mean, they certainly are very enjoyable to watch. I am curious to see how team fights especially go, not from like how do these compositions match up against each other necessarily, but how to what do Huni and Goldenglue do that Kumo and Jizuke don't do, right? Like Jizuke, I think, known for super good split push pressure, very not off meta because most of the champions he plays, somebody plays out there in the world, but he plays not many people play Echo in NA right now as an example, right? But he's still willing to play that champion. So I think, as we heard from Artemis, there'll be more of an emphasis on maybe team fighting here in this 5v5 comp, but I'm curious to see how the different things play. As we get this delay resolved, though, I'm going to throw it over to the recent spotlight on Team Liquid's bot laner, Tactical.
During the spring split, when I was playing my few games, it felt pretty surreal what was happening. I couldn't completely process that I was playing LCS with some players I would never have imagined to play with beforehand.
Tactical is in for Team Liquid. We'll see if he can fill the biggest shoes that an AD carry could have in North America, which is Doublelift himself. I mean, literally any player coming to the LCS would be like, that's a downgrade from Doublelift.
Tactical got to be the starting AD carry of the 4-time defending champions. It was a lot of pressure and some really big shoes to fill.
The re-engage could be too good. TL gonna chase down the kills. A double kill for Tactical. Give him the third.
Oh, they both dash over the wall. Beautifully done by Tactical.
Coming into the Summer Split of 2020, he gets the full-time spot.
I sort of couldn't believe it at first, because there's no way I would have ever thought 1 year ago from now that I would have replaced Doublelift basically. So it just took some time to sink in, and I was really happy, but also I was also nervous at the same time because I was thinking about would I mesh well once we're in during season, would I be able to stand my own against the other top players in LCS, and was I good enough? But if a world champion is willing to play with me, I think there might be something going on.
I still remember that when he was in the academy team, I was keep asking him, do you want to duo with me? He said, Playing with you is like pressure me. I'm scared to make a mistake when I play with you, and at that he's very shy, and then he's not a really aggressive like personality. But when I talk to him like more and more, I realize he has a big anger to be better. You don't want to lose to anybody.
He's someone who is clearly a perfectionist. He can win a laning phase by 20 CS and still sometimes be beating himself up because he didn't win it by 30 CS.
I'd say I bring a chance to the team to be able to change. For example, if they had maybe kept double lift, it would have been harder for them to change the way they wanted to play, just because veterans usually have a solid ground of how they want to play the game and how they view the game. But I don't really have like the solid ground yet, so I'm pretty like open. I bring some new excitement to the team, I think, like Zoomer energy.
I've seen a lot of other rookies come into teams of veterans, of people with strong minds, and they're just like little puppy dogs, like trying to follow people around, and they're not really able to build off of the things that got them to the pro stage in the first place. But Tactical is not like that, right? Tactical is able to be tactical.
As a player, he's like a diamond from the mine. In NA mine, I can see he's gonna be shine in the future.
This is a very scary prospect for Team Liquid to sub out double lift. It is very obviously a downgrade.
Nice start. Oh my god, Stun's gonna go down. There's no way he lives there.
Wind is safe, but here comes Tactical. And Tactical wins the duel.
If you took away his name and you put in double lift there, you'd be like, oh yeah, just give him player of the week. That was great.
And already Tactical is here to kill his old teammate. So, Aspa's great hook by Aspa.
I feel like we already are moving past him living in double lift shadow.
Tactical, so far, 2 thumbs up.
Give it what you got right now.
But that is Cody's son dying out of the turret. Look at this damage. Tactical hasn't been available. 2 more Qs would kill him, but he's changed in place. Tactical, taking names.
Whether it be in League of Legends or in other sports, it's oftentimes really important to make that strong first impression. Sometimes you don't have full control over when it's going to be or in what situation it's going to happen, but you need to be ready for that situation. So he was someone who was able to be ready for the moment and step up to the moment. And my hope is that he can continue to do that throughout the rest of his career.
Money.
Give it what you got right now. And take your best shot right now. Everybody's watching. Everybody's talking.
Hello and welcome back, everybody. It is time for our game. Thank you for waiting through the delays. We did have teams drop out of Champ Select, and then there was a pause. But here we are with the start of our second game of the evening. It is Team Liquid Crumbs versus EG, but not as you know them. Goldenglue and Huni rocking the mid lane and top lane this weekend, actually, as far as we're aware.
That is where our eyes are going to be glued, into the mid lane, because Goldenglue kind of represents North American talent in a way. He's what a lot of players have rallied behind as to somebody that should be in rosters. And you asked in the Champion Select, how well does he have to do? What is the benchmark of what Goldenglue is required to happen in this game? And I think it's the Orianna game that Jizuka had against Immortals, where he went 2, 4, and 5. And frankly, that was one of the games that we nominated for a tactical int game, which was one of the worst performances in a winning game. So that is what Goldenglue has to be. He's known much more for his control mages than Jizuka, so I think he can definitely do a better job here. But what we heard from Artemis was that the shot calling was a big aspect that they liked about Goldenglue as well. So that's something that we don't get to really see, but as long as the macro for EG is solid, then I think we can know that the roster changes were positive.
Everyone loves a good revenge story as well. I remember when Goldenglue was on Cloud9, he was, you know, alongside Jensen. Those were the two, you know, fighting for spots, if you will, or at least, you know, playing in those games where they did manage to sweep TSM, as the analyst S was talking about earlier on. So kind of a fun one there to see Goldenglue, now an evil genius, playing up against one of his old teammates in Jensen. But we'll have a peek here in the bottom lane. It is Tactical and CoreJJ on the Kalista and the Bard, but Caretaker trends everywhere for a bit of extra health, and we'll see how Bang does on the farming Senna, as you can see that Doran's Blade there. So this is going to be more of your traditional marksman Senna.
Traditional, yet he has so much of the rest of his team to be, which is big bodies in front of him to peel for him. So I think this, to me, I hit it in Champions Select, this is just EG doubling down on Bang as a facilitator, and Huni, this is a good champion for him. I know we don't like to see the Karma in the top lane because, well, there's really not a lot of kill pressure and you're not really going to gank her a lot, but it gives him an ability to bully out the laning phase and still help the team out later in the stages of team fights. So this is him just saying, listen, I'll compromise, just give me something that can be a lane bully and I'll help you out later.
Yeah, I was going to say this feels like a good halfway point between his traditional Lucian super hard carries and Ornn, which has been playing more recently, as you mentioned. You know, Karma's kind of maybe best of both worlds here. And so far so good against Impact, although Impact keeping up in farm just nicely, isn't too worried about the 1v1 just yet. Svenskeren, though, could be the troublemaker here in topside. Gonna take the crab first, though. Very important for junglers to get their crabs.
Good that both junglers are pathing to the sides where they have pressure. So you see that Svenskeren path his top side, you've got Huni pushing the way, so he can quickly collapse to that, and then Broxah path is to bottom. His bottom lane is pushing the minion wave as well, so he knows that he can always go to this crab and win a fight because his bottom lane will collapse sooner. So that just shows you that the junglers are thinking about where their route is going to end and timing it with their laners' pressure. So I think that both these teams so far are playing pretty well, right? It usually is a sign of trouble when the junglers path to the side where they don't have pressure and they get double crabbed.
Yes, which I think is becoming, from what I understand, interacting with your crabs, one of your least favorite things to see as a jungler. You just don't like it when the crabs aren't split in the early game, and one jungler gets two of them here.
It's brutal. It's brutal. To see that happen to somebody is just, you feel for them because it's so much gold and experience and it helps everybody else out. And as a jungler, you kind of want to put the blame on your lanes, like, oh, I needed one of you to come help me out, but then you also have to recognize, hey, I should have pathed better. I maybe should have seen and paid more attention to where my lanes were at and try to make my route consider that. So you can't pity the junglers too much, but you feel bad a little bit.
Bad to watch. Definitely bad to have happened to you in game. As we saw Impact and Huni battling for a bit here. Goldenglue and Jensen also doing battle. Jensen up 10 CS right now.
He's bopping Goldenglue. He has not used the potion. Goldenglue has burned through his. He's going to have to TP pretty soon. So Azir doing a lot of work thus far.
You can see Svenskeren wanting to apply some pressure. Ooh. Jensen applies it right back to the mid laner, though. And he's just going to shove this and get out of there. He's got the TP if he needs to use it, so does Goldenglue, but Jensen will have the rights to the first back if he wants it. CoreJJ, though, is roaming up here, and this is a dangerous spot Goldenglue to be in, so he's going to have to back away. It's top lane, though, where the attention is. Huni's a little low on mana, but Svenskeren going to flash in there. Impact going to have to flash up, but he doesn't make it over the wall, and Huni, with the empowered Q and no mana left, gets first blood.
Hits him with the crab, returns the cat instead, so Impact just fails to flash in. The Karma is tempting to follow because you know that she doesn't have enough damage, so as long as you can catch her off guard, he burned through a ton of the mana thinking he had an opportunity, but Svenskeren was there, and at least Team Liquid is in a position to go for the dragon, though, so this is pretty positive for them. And whoa, even gets a flash out of Goldenglue there. I don't think Jensen had enough mana to pop an ultimate there.
That's a good point. I was going to say, if he does, you have to flash there. And that was a very respectful flash from Goldenglue, but you may be right about the mana situation. Speaking of, Huni had this one calculated.
Oh, Impact, where are you going?
He's trying to go over the wall.
Oh, no. That's worse than getting too crabbed. At least he has the sense of humor to spam emotes after death. Post-mortem emotes.
It's kind of fitting for Mordekaiser, I feel like, as a champion, but
yeah.
in fact, not too perturbed. Mid lane, though, that LCS lead's already feeling a little scary. Jensen has, despite, you playing a lot of control mages and playing a lot of Twisted Fate, not the, super lane dominant, like aggressive champions that maybe he was known for in the past. His numbers have been excellent so far as a mid laner. So he is still, like, dominating people in lanes. It's just, not in the flashy way. He's doing it in the Team Liquid way, I guess we can call it.
Those numbers might get a little balloon now, because if you ever played with a mid laner that loves to communicate what you can do, Jensen can just say, just come mid, Broxah. I've got flash, Orianna does not. I can just flash ultimate, worst case scenario. So they can just scoop her right from under the mid lane turret and get a kill there. Huni has to flash out of impact, fearing that he's got multiple cats ready to go. That was a different one than the one he used after death.
It's like Cat Lady Yorick, a whole bag ready to go and throw at Huni as Impact has taken control of the top lane. Broxah and CoreJJ also continuing to be best buddies here on the roam alongside Jensen. Now Zeyzal has roamed up, but he might face check at the wrong time. I think that ward placement is good timing there for Zeyzal as he does not walk into the potential trap, but the red buff still seems to be the target. And Broxah's trying to take that one away.
No Bard is there, and Goldenglue is dead.
Yeah, no flash, ulti back in, and that's going to be a kill. Oh, the Senna ulti makes it close, but it's not enough. Sett, though, going to find the dunk on the Broxah, but he can't finish off the kill. Now Impact put him in the death realm. That's why he couldn't finish off Broxah. But now Impact may be dead to rights. Huni going to try and finish him off. Svenskeren getting way too low, though, and Jensen, as he pops out of the realm, he's able to get the kill. Huni's going to go down as well, and everything, Crumbs, everything goes wrong for EG.
That was just masterful from Team Liquid. So the big thing there is that EG did not know that CoreJJ had snuck in. We saw from the vision that they had no idea that there was a Bard. They thought, okay, maybe it's just the Lee Sin going for the red buff, going for a counter jungle, knowing that the Sett was going to be there. But the second that the Bard showed up, that's when trouble began. And they all played it perfectly. I mean, CoreJJ standing on the Azir wall, and then Impact saving Broxah. They're going to try to go on Huni, and Zeyzal flashes in.
Zeyzal's in there. TP's in with a spellbook backup. And Svenskeren also ready. So they'll stop the Rift Herald, but no kills forthcoming and a lot of cooldowns burnt. Jensen might be trying it again. No, he's actually recalling. Playing a quick game of Go before he goes back home. And already, oh my goodness, Nash's tooth finish, Crumbs. 20 CS ahead. Let's watch this again.
All right, so the first thing, right, knowing that the Orianna doesn't have flash, nice and easy, stun the Orianna on the Azir. Cool little interaction there, and then watch Impact there. Not only with the initial scoop, but then ulting the Sett away so he can't receive additional help from the Karma. And it's fun to watch the Mordekaisers in this situation, because so many times Mordekaisers actually miss everything in the Death Realm, but Impact had to hit every spell to be able to take out the Sett before he spawned and had the Karma to help him out, and then another Q from CoreJJ. That was I'm going to give my tip of the hat to CoreJJ on that one, because he made a huge difference there.
Yeah, making those Swiftness boots work as he's been roaming around the map towards the mid lane quite often. Huni locking up Impact here. But just trying to collect the farm at this point, as Goldenglue is just forced to play very far back here. Here's CoreJJ again, by the way. No ulti for the bar, but he's going to sweep away the vision, and Goldenglue is going to continue to feel the pressure as Svenskeren up in the top side. Ready with the dunk. Impact does not have his flash for a little bit longer. But the roots are incoming. Impact trying to get out of this one. And actually, he's dead. Death Realm goes Svenskeren. Dunk. Flash out for Sven. Impact are going to keep chasing on, and Huni, he's got to finish it off. He comes back out, but Impact, now he's got his own shield as Huni is going to lock him up in the root. Impact, though, already burnt the flash, surely is going to die here. It's just a matter of does he get one or not, and the answer is no. Huni able to take him down with the gank from Sven.
That was Svenskeren and the rest of EG going for scraps there, because, yeah, you can take out Impact, but you're helping out your Karma. That's not going to win you the game. Instead, Team Liquid gets to go for the Dragon in the bottom side. They were setting this up from the pressure that Jensen was providing. They can clear out all the vision and then go for this major objective there. And honestly, in that play top, if Impact landed that final mace, Svenskeren was dead as well, and Impact would have been in a fantastic position. He might be 0-2, but he's still doing a great job in pressuring EG.
Well, Goldenglue thankfully does not get his recall cancelled. That would have been disastrous. But 2 dragons already for Team Liquid, very swiftly snowballing towards this Infernal Soul, which is the rift for this game. And 30 CS and counting now for Jensen.
not just him. Tactical also has a lead of the same magnitude against Bang, and it's pretty crazy that Team Liquid is already off to this strong start. I mean, this is a really strong improvement from what we had been criticizing about them, which is being somewhat slow, but against EG, their ability to just push these lanes and gain advantages from the laning phase is really impressive here. It's one of the weaknesses that Senna will have is that she's not going to be able to contest the waves early on and will likely fall behind in some weaker matchups, but Team Liquid has found opportunities to let Tactical be by himself and have CoreJJ roam. Think about Zeyzal that had to TP away and leave his Senna alone too.
Yeah, I mean, Bang just getting what farm he can. Charging up the Manamune, also charging a tier in mid lane for Goldenglue. We've got Karma top lane for EG. Like, a lot of this is like, needs a bit of time. It needs to be together, right? This is a 5v5 comp for EG, but TL just playing well across the lanes, snowballing the early game already. Actually up 2,000 gold, which at little under 13 minutes is pretty significant, and Jensen is not stopping these roams. Svenskeren suspects the Herald is being taken, but he's going to try and stop it, but there's a few more here than they bargained for. There's Jensen scooping one in, it's Svenskeren now. He's going to dunk himself back over the wall, but only to certain death. Senna ulti going to make it close, but not close enough. Jensen, what a flash! Just barely gets out from under the shockwave, but he does get shut down, and now Goldenglue is going to get wrapped up by CoreJJ. Into stasis he goes. Goldenglue going to flash out Impact with a double claw, pulls 2 back in, and Broxah is going to get the first one. Zeyzal's here for the follow-up stun, but there is no more damage left as TL trading up against EG.
That flash Q from CoreJJ was sick, and before you know it, Tactical is already here. Team Liquid is still thinking about the objective game. They didn't see that Azir was coming. EG was blind when it came to moving through the red side, so Jensen just got to scoop multiple members. Svenskeren got lucky that that Sett has the ability to go through that wall and make sure that he can regroup with the rest of the team, but this is once again Team Liquid playing around the red side of the jungle and being much faster and utilizing pockets of vision to take advantage of EG. Now, it starts with Karma being by herself in the death realm, so she doesn't get scooped up. It's only Svenskeren. So once she comes out, it gets a little bit easier for them to manage it, especially once Orianna comes through and the Senna ultimate to help out as well. But the big play for me here is watch CoreJJ here at the end, right? With the scoop to double stun with the scoop from Mordekaiser. It just looked beautiful. You almost wish they killed Goldenglue just to make it even nicer.
Well, let's still take it. Team Liquid still up in gold as EG are trying to fight back in this very tough early game. Jensen now down towards the bottom half of the map, but still has his best bud, CoreJJ, by his side. And Broxah's here as well. This is bullying. This Goldenglue gonna get chased out. Oh, never mind. Svenskeren's here for the surprise. They actually get the shockwave through. I don't know how that hit Jensen. And the Haymaker's gonna finish him off as EG bring Huni down to the bottom lane, and they win this engagement.
That was exactly the bait that EG needed to go for. An absolute surprise where Svenskeren is right there, because it looked like bullying. It's like, oh yeah, Goldenglue here by himself without flash in the bottom lane. Yeah, this should be pretty easy, but instead they pull the trap onto Azir and actually get the gold from him, and they are now playing to the red side. They're taking the page out of Team Liquid's book and using it, and it's looking good.
Yep. Svenskeren there threatening us all, gets himself the red buff after Windburst cloaking over the wall with the Hex Flash. Impact, though, is going to get himself the top lane outer tower, so gold lead's still staying pretty nice here for Team Liquid, up 2,500 gold, but Huni looking to finish off this tower and make that gold even closer. Goldenglue is going to complete his recall and go do a spot of shopping as the Rift Herald gets summoned here in mid lane. This is a pretty high-paced game here. As Team Liquid continuing to try and snowball their advantage. They will take down the mid-outer, but that trade is not completed in the bottom lane as Jensen moves in to defend that tower. So 25 seconds now till this Infernal Drake is up, and it would be sole point if Team Liquid were able to get it. So EG, already 16 minutes into the game, Crumbs, have a very important set of decisions to make about how they want to approach this next objective, because I think most people would say you must fight for this Drake.
I think they absolutely would. Now, do they feel like they have the items to do so and the position? I'm not so sure. Orianna will have to teleport down here, and clearly Team Liquid is a lot stronger right now. Without Orianna being there initially, this composition is going to have a really hard time finding any poke or any way to engage right away. So I think that from the vision that we see in the top side, this is EG conceding this because Orianna is not here.
Yeah, has TP, so Goldenglue can make it here, but Vision to TP2. Not all that present. Speedtron's going to go over to Team Liquid as well. EG are committing here though, but Zeyzal's getting wrapped up. Svenskeren diving in onto Impact. Lots of stasis there because Tempered Fate was popped there, but Goldenglue now going to make his way in. EG needs to find a way into this fight though. Senna ulti out. Impact's still low, but he's not out just yet, and somebody needs to find an angle on the ulti. Broxah just chasing Svenskeren out of there. The Shockwave primed here for Goldenglue, but doesn't want to pull it just yet. Onto Impact he goes. That's the target he wants. Impact though going to pull him back in. Goldenglue does get the kill, but he gets kicked back by Broxah into his certain death, as now Fate's Call going to knock up 2 in the front line. And here comes Jensen, scooping the other back. It's Zeyzal dead now as Azir has grabbed the double kill.
And Team Liquid get to take the Dragon after that as well. They thought that they could just take a fight, AEG, but the Orianna, without being there, we saw it, we have the Observer, they need to be grouped up. This is the way that the composition operates. Orianna coming in a lot later just meant that the rest of EG was never confident enough to go for an aggressive move with the Senna into the river, so they were never able to actually establish a footing there. And you see the vision. This is why it was so hard for EG to move in. You've got those double control wards. A champion like Orianna does a lot for you when it comes to controlling vision that is taken by the enemy. The ball can give you the vision necessary to actually take those wards down, or at least know that you're not being ambushed by Team Liquid.
Yeah, well, let's just fight again here. I mean, EG knew they had to do something. It's just, you know, finding something to do is really hard in a spot like this.
So it's funny to see so many members of Team Liquid standing around, because there's essentially 3 people in stasis. It was first Zeyzal, then the Tempered Fate caught 2 members, and Jensen pulls out Svenskeren. So EG gets to disengage, knowing that the 3-man squad is somewhat safe. And here is where Goldenglue gets a little bit over eager. Now, Broxah doesn't have Kick Flash, but with the Mordekaiser to scoop you down, it's pretty easy to put yourself behind her.
Yeah, Svenskeren also just had to back. He had no health left after Broxah almost killed him, so Jensen finds the easy follow-up kill. And Goldenglue does get the tower in the bottom lane here, so we'll keep a little bit of gold in EG's pockets, but Soul Dragon's now looming in 4 minutes. This is a very swift snowball of that objective from Team Liquid.
And it's something that I think they have definitely been working on, because we have been hearing from their players themselves, like, this is not how we want to be known as, right? We don't want to have these slow games. We know that we have the advantages and we can push them, and the itemizations tell us that for sure. There's the Leandry's Nashor's completed on the Azir right now. He is just so freaking strong. There is nobody that can stand up to him right now. So as long as they can keep playing around Jensen and give him the opportunity to dish out damage, EG has no one that can buy enough time for Bang or Goldenglue to dish out damage. And they don't even have another threat. In fact, there's only 2 threats, really, and they take a long time to be relevant.
CoreJJ is just brimming with confidence right now. He's zooming through the enemy jungle, is slapping Svenskeren, who he's 3 levels down from with Meeps. He's got Shirelias to charge the poison if there's a fight happening. Oh, that feels bad, man. Dabs on him as well. That was only a Hex Flash for Svenskeren, but it still looked sweet.
Oh, that is just wrecking Svenskeren there. The dab is really what sealed the
That's
deal.
psychological damage, you know?
Exactly. Try that on me once again and see what happens. You know Svenskeren's not looking for another Hex Flash against CoreJJ. He knows he's got his number.
Yeah, and just the pressure keeps mounting here for TL. Jensen's working on that tier 2 in bottom lane. Bang does get the red buff, which is nice. But Broxah is here. Goldenglue is potentially in trouble just in this 2v1. But his team's moving in. Zeyzal's trying to get some vision down. EG, you know, need to clear out some space in their own jungle, need to retake some territory. Attack is going to get the red buff now, and it's getting tricky.
Now, Team Liquid is going to just continue to hold this blue side jungle as long as it takes. And if they don't need to base, they won't, because it will set them up for the next dragon that will put them on that Infernal Soul, which is everything that they have wanted this game. 2 minutes for it, and now with Huni being assigned to the bottom side of the map, he's somewhat safer than the Orianna, but he's still going to get scooped and has to flash away from it.
Jensen may be wrapped up here, does have his own flash though, and Zeyzal does not follow in with the Glacial Fissure. Still the rest of EG coming in. CoreJJ actually gets the Blast Plant, but here's the Magical Journey. CoreJJ going to juke back around into it, but they're trying to find a kill here. TP in instead from Team Liquid, and they'll stay safe with the Sun Turret up.
Okay, so they get a TP out of Team Liquid. That's a pretty big deal now. That's going to force Team Liquid to be more grouped before this fight. It's a minute 20 for the big honcho of a team fight. And now having to base from the rest of the squad, this is where EG can actually take the time to clear out the vision. They need to get every single ward here and make sure that Team Liquid doesn't know where they're coming from. That control ward that we just see where Impact is going through, that's where they have to make sure that they can clear out fairly soon, or else Team Liquid will still have a stranglehold in this blue side of the jungle.
Yeah, they've got a minute. They can go back, spend whatever gold they have, buy some more controllers if they need them, and start clearing out space for this objective. It's not going to be easy, but they do have to do their due diligence, do some administrative work around their own jungle. You can see just how dark it is, though, as the observers toggle that vision. There is nothing that EG can see past this river.
Well, they at least can see their own items that have been completed, which is the Liandry's, the Seraphs, which is pretty nice. You got the Mirror Mana and the Youmu's for Bang. So they actually are hitting some decent spikes, and hopefully Huni with his Sensor and Grail can do enough boosting for the rest of the squad. Broxah will just barely make it out. Now Azir's topside, so I think EG could actually rush this, as Jensen isn't TPing anytime soon, so he's not going to join before the fight. He's going to join after.
I feel like Azir TP is also like the stuff of the wrong kind of legend, where it's kind of like a GP TP. Like, yeah, you can do it, but Azir kind of needs time to set things up, you know, like be in position. So EG are going to start this dragon as expected. Impact was looking for the flank, though. But now, wrangling with the blue buff as EG are trying to find a pick before this happens. Jensen, though, has made his way down here, did teleport, but he's now in position to set up for this fight. Team Liquid, they will fight tooth and nail for this soul.
So EG pulls out because they're afraid of Broxah going for the steal. He was still on the rest side of the jungle thinking about that, and with the Mordekaiser wrapping around is a lot harder. They feel confident starting in now because Mordekaiser is missing, but the steal threat is still there, and Broxah stole quite a few last week.
Here it comes, Tempered Fate. Only finds 2, though, but it's 2 carries. There's the ulti out of Broxah, who's going in. He doesn't get the dragon, so Tia will be denied the salt, but Impact flashes in, scoops up 2 with the claw, and now EG can have to try and fight their way out of it, but Sven's in the death row, getting slapped by the mace. He's dead as Impact is going to pop out and say, surprise, it's time to fight the rest of us. As EG are kiting back in, a great Karma Shield. Impact is going to die. Nice shockwave there for Goldenglue, who's going to catch one as Huni goes golden, but again, CoreJJ finds the bind, and Jensen cleans house as Team Liquid are going to grab the Azir. Huni is the only one left alive, and it's not for very much longer. It's Broxah that finishes it off.
And for losing a single member, you're happy if you lost that Infernal Dragon. You are capable of going to Baron right now, and you might be able to buy enough time to actually have Impact get it as well. Team Liquid is just so strong in these fights, and Bard is coming in huge this game. I think CoreJJ is just having such a strong performance despite his carries, doing the best they can to outshine the counterparts in EG. But man, this Bard's binds and ultimates are just being so clutched. I don't think we've seen the Bard be this good in LCS.
I mean, even to me, just thinking about how mobile CoreJJ was able to be in the early game is maybe even more impactful than how good he's also been in these team fights. But watch this one again. Lining up the Bud Light Ace, CoreJJ kicks it off with the Tempered Fate.
So this is trying to just set up the Lee Sin to go for a steal, and Brox is really trying his darndest there, but just barely misses out on the smite. And then Impact's like, okay, I got an opportunity to go in here, I can hit that flash bind, but he knows he can just take out the jungler right away, does his best to actually take him out, but then there's a Bard on the side, right, just harassing, just being really annoying, and it all buys enough time for the Azir to just still be here. Now, I like what the Karma did to dodge out of the potential engage onto them, but you already have an Azir that is so fed hammering away at the rest of your team. It's just not going to look pretty.
Yeah, missed it the first time though, but that Fate's call setting up CoreJJ was real nasty. The Tactical's definitely deserving some credit there as well for CoreJJ's double bind setup. But back into the game, we got a little under 2 minutes of Baron buff left, and Team Liquid are demolishing EG structures.
They can go and possibly end the game here, Pastry. They are that strong. They have a 10,000 gold lead. This is the kind of lead where you would really try to pull the trigger and see if you can execute on these dives and just hand off a single Baron push. We know that the best teams in the world can do that right now. And when you have a Tempered Fate, which is on cooldown, but it obviously will be with the Baron still being available, you could just finish the game right here, right now. The items are there, the gold is there, and you'd almost feel bad if you weren't able to do it, because these players want to be able to accelerate the pace of the game to this speed. It's their goal. It's how they can know that they will compete internationally and stack up against the competition there.
Jensen is just so strong. You watch him in the top lane just smacking down turrets, and I mean, that's maybe the least of EG's problems. It's tough to say what the toughest thing to overcome is right now. It's safe to say, though, that Team Liquid are monstrously far ahead in this game. CoreJJ is so annoying. He's roaming back up to the top lane, threatening stuns. He's got the ulti ready to go. He's igniting people. He's winning lane.
He's not letting Svenskeren get away with these Hex Flashes. He's just following him the whole way through it, and that is what is the most obnoxious for this jungler, knowing that you're not making a play without CoreJJ there being involved, and now doesn't even get to hit the stun. It's time for the dab, Core. That's definitely a dabbing penguin kind of move.
Yeah, Jet's going to finish off the top inhib tower as well. They're just losing everything at this point, or EG, and talk about marking plays, you know, in League of Legends, but also in sports in general. Usually it's like a one-to-one thing. I feel like CoreJJ is marking the entire enemy team with how frustrating and slippery he's being on this Bard. But EG going to have to pick their moment soon, Crumbs, because they're about to lose all of their structures, and Impact is just forcing Goldenglue to fight him, so they can't even 5v5 right now. His Impact has taken Orianna out of this fight. Oh goodness, that's just going to be a solo kill, looks like. Very nearly almost, as he exhausts his down stasis. For Impact's going to keep him alive for a little while longer. Bang finally finishes him off, but the Fate Skull is primed and ready. TL, though, in a 5v4, going to have to be a little bit careful, perhaps. But Jensen is ready with the scoop. Sven is low. Goldenglue has returned, and 2 inhibs are already dead, Crumbs.
Well, at least they can stall the game out from ending right here. Oh, last minion,
Zeyzal!
Oh, it lives. It lives.
All right, the cannon creep has been taken care of. The threat is dispatched. Team Liquid maybe considering staying around for that last hit on the inhibitor, but there's a dragon up in less than 10 seconds, and EG want to fight the Jensen. That magical journey buffer was absurd, flashing out there as well as the rest of EG were incoming, but CoreJJ once again saving lives here on the Bard.
Saving lives and just taking lives from EG. They are thinking about fighting for this Inferno. This is the last stand out of EG. There's a teleport on Impact if he maybe wants to try to backdoor, but they could just take a fight as well. They are so darn strong. 12k lead. He just TPs in. His ulti's available. You could just pick a member and take him out.
Not that many ults in general. There's one though. Shockwave is going to force a flash and find Impact. Svenskeren, dunk tactical back in. The Fate's call in for CoreJJ. He's always got the Tempered Fate back up. Svenskeren is low, but he's not out just yet. But he needs to be alive to take this dragon. And Zeyzal, he's the one locked in the death realm right now. Pulled back in as Impact finds a very nice claw, and Tactical just takes out Goldenglue, as there is too much here for Team Liquid. They're going to grab the Infernal Soul. The rest of EG kind of need to leave before they die, as CoreJJ, he's diving back in. He's locking up Bang with Meeps. There's the pullback. Bang's going to be forced to flash away, and Tactical's in there. He's taking the magical journey. Nice and aggressive. Takes down Bang, and Jensen is looking to finish off the game in style, as the rest of Team Liquid are patting the KDAs.
Jensen wants glory. He wants to be like Bjergsen, ending the game by himself, backdooring, but Svenskeren's going to stop him. He doesn't actually get to hit the stun, and he'll have to wait for the rest of the team to come back. It looks like the game still goes on, but not for much longer, as the rest of Team Liquid is just beelining straight in here. They want to be in that little end game picture. Finally gets to take out that top inhibitor, but they're just so far ahead. It doesn't matter how EG was going to fight around that dragon. You're up against a 12,000, now 14,000 gold lead. This is one of Team Liquid's most impressive performances.
Yeah, you know, we talk about structures being an important objective in League of Legends. Team Liquid have taken all but one. There's only the Nexus left for EG right now. Yes, their inhibitors will respawn in a couple of minutes, but this is a ridiculous lead that Team Liquid have managed to build, and we're just cresting the 30-minute mark now, Crumbs. So even with, you know, one of those Soul Drakes denied, still pretty quick, all things considered. Team Liquid just, you know, took the ball and ran all the way downfield with it. So now they're going to take this Baron as well. And there, it just isn't a way for EG to get in here.
Well, they're going to try, because either they do it now or you're just going to do it in your base. And you know you're going to lose at that point, too. So they actually don't go for it. They're just still farming away, trying to crash the waves. You got Orianna in the bot lane trying to farm, but Team Liquid's just trying to take all the objectives, just going for the extra laps here, trying to make sure that they've got everything that EG could possibly want.
You know, we talk about percentage plays, Crumbs, and neither percentage is good in this case, but I think this fight is higher of a chance to win than the Baron fight. They're both extremely low, but EG have to try something here. Bang is starting it off on an impact. He does slow him down, but at this point, the Super Minions, if any more waves start walking with this Baron buff, they're going to be enough to finish off the Nexus. Team Liquid will can just spectate if they want to, but they're not interested in spectating, Crumbs. They're interested in ending this game emphatically as Broxah diving in, kicks Goldenglue back. It's just insult to injury all game long as Tactical is able to take him down, and the rest of Team Liquid surge in as Tactical is going to nab himself to double kill. Huni locked up in the Tempered Fate. It's a race to get the KDA pumped up before the Nexus dies, but Team Liquid are going to take down EG in just barely under 32 minutes.
I think that seals the pastry with TSM's game earlier today and Team Liquid's dominant performance. On top of the record, they are definitively our second best team in LCS. And with this game, I'm proud to say it too.
Yeah, Team Liquid, again, like, yes, they've had some games in the middle that were very long, despite how good their record looked. But they have picked it up since then. And, you know, EG, it's difficult to gauge exactly how strong they are with the new roster. You know, they knew they were taking risks against very strong opponents this weekend, playing 2 new players. But regardless, I think you cannot overlook just how well Team Liquid played. This is the clean, methodical style that has won 4 championships in a row, Crumbs. It feels like Team Liquid may very well be back.
Yeah, and who's back? On whose back was that in the early game? At least it was CoreJJ roaming so much. But
goodness, what a game!
Yeah, just beautiful. But then the laning phases, how far ahead they got. Now it's hard to say. You know, it's Goldenglue's first game against Jensen, who's looking so good as well. So maybe we don't know how that stacks. Although usually when these two face off, it is still Jensen winning in a pretty significant fashion.
Yeah, it turns out Jensen's numbers looking pretty good regardless of the opponent. It's time for a quick break. On the other side, we hear from Tactical in the Verizon post-game interview. Don't miss it.
Verizon knows how to build unlimited right. You start with America's most awarded network, the one with unbeatable reliability 13 times in a row.
This network is one less thing I have to worry about.
Then you give people more plans to mix and match, so you only pay for what you need.
Verizon Unlimited plan is so reasonable, they could stay on for the rest of their lives.
You include the best in entertainment, and you offer it all starting at $35. Because everyone deserves the best. This is Unlimited built right, only on Verizon.
Dreams aren't achieved overnight. They take passion.
It's Mr. World 20.
Dedication. And even then, there are no guarantees. But for the LCS, that's the power of dreams.
Too bad!
It means you never give up. It means you always play again. Honda, proud automotive partner of the LCS.
Welcome back, everybody, to Friday Night League. As we get ready for our Verizon post-game interview with Tactical, we're going to go ahead and start breaking down that game, because what a victory for Team Liquid it was, and it would not have been possible without the tremendous performance from Jensen in the mid lane.
He's been stepping up big time in recent weeks, and he continued a dominating performance today. If you look at his early game this game, it was the whole reason that they were able to take over. He was winning individual trades versus Goldenglue in this matchup. It is slightly Azir favor, but he was crushing it super hard. This opens up roam potentials for his bot lane to come mid. You know, Svenskeren can't even gank him here because he has such a health advantage that he would basically win a 2v1 even. And so this forces a recall off Goldenglue. When he TPs back in, he's also able to force the flash out of Goldenglue himself. You know, just with the threat of being able to use his ult to push him back in. So with that, then they combo it into jungle invades. And this whole thing gets him a monstrous CSD lead. It gets a 3 kills them in the early game. Monstrous 4%. Like, Jensen is absolutely the engine for Team Liquid right now.
Yeah, and there's constant direction here. One thing Team Liquid, Broxah specifically, has said that they wanted to be able to speed up the pace of the game. The way you do that is by finding new objectives to fight for. Red buff was the objective. They already knew that Orianna didn't have a flash off the prior play that you had mentioned. And then they knew that they were pressuring for red for the fight. Their intent was to take the fight, and they won it big off this one.
Yeah, and I think the funny part about this is you see Azir in draft, and you go, all right, this is a passive and slow game. That's exactly what I was thinking when I saw the first 3 picks in draft. I was like, Azir's not going to do much, right? But time and time again, Jensen Azir is the initiator for all these picks in the early mid game. And that's such a unique thing because our Azirs, usually in North America, are farm, and then late game you'll see the pop-off highlight reels. But never this early the way Jensen's playing it.
Yeah, with all that being said, we do want to revisit the draft due to a bug that had occurred before when remaking Champ Select. So, Raz, what was your take on how this was executed?
For me, the Azir was pretty key here because I like the idea, the intent that EG was trying to go for with their draft. When you see Kalista, you want to at least like try and isolate it, slow it down. You see a lot of anti-Kalista comps happening in the meta because you can like bait them to take the pick. My problem is the moment you see Azir, it's not an issue of Kalista anymore because, you know, even though you have Senna, Orianna, like you're no longer in a position of having that range, so you need another threat. My issue is when they went to 4-5, they went towards a Braum on 4 pick instead of going in towards Karma, because you can still go Senna Karma bot lane, and then you can take a stronger carry up top lane. Like a Camille would be a great example, and you can just say, okay, well, we're playing to split push or, you know, use our side lane pressure to get number advantage fights. In this case, they took a team fight comp, didn't have the range for a team fight versus Azir, and then didn't have the DPS, as you can already see. Like that was another issue, and didn't have this lockdown because it's really only Orianna ultimate and Sett that can start fights. So it was really difficult to get back into the game when you were already behind.
It was also a thing where you have a bunch of little ideas that don't come together at all. As much as we praise the 100 Thieves draft for everything coming together, every version of this draft was missing something. Like, okay, you have this insane shield comp. It doesn't have any damage because there's no actual carry. You have Huni in the top lane, which you can kind of play around, but then he becomes a supportive champion with his build because he went for double support items, which is usually the better top Karma build, but you can go Luden's death cap and stuff like that. So it was one of those things where none of their comps actually worked together, especially against what they were playing into.
Yeah, and like a little thing that always bothers me is especially like looking at the early game, like how you want to approach it as a team. You have this Senna Braum bot, and you don't really want to fight around that. So you want to make the Karma big because Svenskeren's going top to make the Karma big. But the problem is like Karma is not the carry. So yeah, where's the damage going to come from in these later game team fights like we see in this Dragon fight?
Yeah, it's weird. It's, you know, supportive AD carry, supportive mid, supportive top. Sett's not a carry jungler. And so you're just left with this team comp where this is actually an ideal fight where you're getting all these shields off, you're delaying, but they can't kill anyone. They can't even kill this Mordekaiser at the end of this entire fight after you ran into the middle of your team to solo out your jungler. So this team definitely had problems in the mid game, and it doesn't help that they fell behind the early game to Jensen and the Kalista. Even though they were kind of farming impact a little bit in the top side, it wasn't nearly enough.
Yeah, with all of that being said, when we're looking at the lack of damage output on the side of EG, and Raz, you had mentioned the fact that Huni comes in instead without Jizuke on this roster. It feels like you needed a bit more from him in that top lane.
That's why when you go into 4-5, in my opinion, your top laner needs to be the most vocal one of what he wants out of his pick, right? especially when you're flexing a few options. So when I'm going into 4-5, Huni should, he knows what like kind of carry that, or at least what kind of pick that Impact wants. Going into 4-5, the 5th pick, he should find himself a carry, especially if his bot side is not going to be diveable off of Senna lane, and if he knows that mid is going to be supportive. So I think a lot of it came down the draft, and it didn't really help as the game went on through how far behind mid lane was.
Well, from the draft and on the Rift, ultimately it was a victory from Team Liquid. So with that, we do have our Verizon post-game interview at the ready.
Thank you very much, everyone. I am joined by Tactical of Team Liquid after they get their victory over Evil Geniuses. In Tactical, I have to ask you, a bit scrappy in these fights, but Team Liquid always had control. It looks like kind of putting aggression on the front of your mind has worked out for the team lately.
Yep. So that game, it just seemed like we're winning a lot of topside fights. So we're just snowballing off that part. And I was kind of just farming that game, not actually doing that much, just kind of doing my job.
Mm-hmm.
If my topside was winning, I was just going to farm. And that was my job. And then team fights happen. I just do my best.
Well, the positioning and everything was coming up huge. Now you guys are 9-2 here. We saw a bit of a clip as the day went on and before your game started about you talking and coming in being perfectionist, and Jat was kind of discussing how you played and the way that you grew yourself. But you mentioned something that I think is true as well, is that players after a while fall into this play style that almost can't be changed, right? It'll fit sometimes into a meta as it comes along and they look good again, but there's a play style that they do fall into. And my question to you is, you know, if that happens for everybody, how are you going to kind of prevent that, and how do you identify it as a player?
Yeah, so over a period of time, there will be certain things a player does that will bring them success or work out in the games. But over a long period of time, like a few years, the game's going to change. So you have to keep thinking about the game from an objective standpoint, where you just have to try to make the decisions that are best for the game, not just what you think is the best. And you have to keep thinking about it all the time. So that's how you stay as a top player.
And what do you kind of do to do the best? If you could point out a few things, are you always kind of watching your opponents so you can get in their head, watching other regions? What's on that list?
So I'm always trying to stay open-minded and trying to see what angles other players are looking for when I watch other games. Like, I'm always wondering why they're doing this, why they're doing that. Mm-hmm. And I think one good reason for now is that I'm open-minded, and I try to basically just think about everyone's decisions and their point of views.
Well, it seems to be advancing your playstyle quite fast from Academy to LCS and now on one of the top teams that we're seeing. My final question coming at you, you took to social media recently and you said that you wanted to take on all the AD carries in the league, that you were going to be the best. And you also tweeted at the FBI. We'll get to that. But what do you think makes you the best in that point? Why are you going to take everybody on? What's this for?
Yeah, so the tweet was not actually made by me. It was actually by Core when I left my computer open. So he took advantage of that. And he had, kind of just messed with it. But that is my goal, to be the best AD carry. But he just said it out there randomly and in a funny way. And yeah, that's basically it.
That's amazing. And no reply from the FBI, correct?
No reply.
Perfect. You probably take him out anyway. No worries, man. Congratulations. Thank you so much for rolling the punches and hanging out here to do the Verizon postgame interview.
No problem.
All right, we are going to throw it back to the analyst desk to continue to break down the rest of the day.
Turns out Core is a valuable veteran to have, not just as your laning partner, but in the ways of social media as well. Great interview there from Tactical. But nonetheless, of all the things that Team Liquid did well today, there is one thing that seemed to rise above all the rest, and that was their emote game. It was on point during this game, Mark.
I was very impressed. This is not the part that impressed me the most, though I respect it. If you're going to go down and you fail a flash, you better have an emote ready to go, and I appreciate the crying sad kitten by... Oh, we didn't get to see it. There was a crying sad kitten by Impact there.
And I mean, when we talk about second-place teams, this is how a second-place team needs to perform. Their emote game, boom. You dodge an aerial, you emote.
Yeah.
That's exactly how you need to play.
I literally have never seen that one before. That's a good one. Jensen bringing it out.
Oh, God. There was also the, right after that, Sven channeled a Hex Flash over a wall, and Core perfectly timed his Bard Q. So as soon as he gets over the wall, he gets stunned against it, and he threw the Penguin Dab emote at him. So all game long, I mean, TL was just on fire with their emotes.
Continuing to see it evolve, not just using emotes when you're in those victorious moments, but also in those moments of defeat. Props to them for elevating us in that part of the playing field. But nonetheless, when it comes to how everything is stacking up here in the LCS, Team Liquid are continuing to carve out this nice spot for them at the top of the standings as they sit in second at 9-2 now, closing that gap to Cloud9. And while TSM, they still make that distance even smaller, sitting in that third spot after their victory, and while 100 Thieves and EG will look to bounce back later in this week, continuing the hard fight.
We need another blue shell out there. Who is going to be the blue shell that slips up Cloud9 again?
Oh, man.
EG, FlyQuest, who's going to be?
Because then we're going to have to talk about, is Team Liquid the best team in North America? No, I don't want Cloud9 to tie their record. I want Cloud9 to stay ahead.
I mean, aside from, like, we're talking about records, right? So other records that we should be talking about are maybe the record of Mr. Miss the Mark, or maybe the record of Probably Wrong that Raz lovingly gave us those nicknames. I believe we were 2-0 on the day, and Raz, what was your predictions for today?
Oh, snap. Oh, no.
Oh,
what?
Wait a
I
second.
predict 100 Thieves?
I didn't make it public, so no one has to know.
Oh,
no,
I was relying on you,
Don't
Raz.
worry. It's screenshotted in our Discord. It is a lovely 100 Thieves and EG predictions, 0-2 for Raz on the desk.
Oh,
what am I supposed to do, man? What am I supposed to do, all right? You guys have been on the desk for weeks. I come out, I support my boy Grayson, and 100 Thieves, I'm like, all right, I like that Academy love. And then I've been wronged. That's not my fault.
See, you're just too biased. Anyone who has more Academy players, you're going to vote for them. Is that the theme I'm hearing right now?
1,000%.
All right.
1,000%.
All I know is, I was really relying on you, Raz. I wanted you to come and prove yourself. Let me down a little bit there. But as far as the LCS goes, it does return tomorrow with CLG and Dignitas taking on one another to start things off. Then Evil Geniuses try to pick up a win from Cloud9 with 2 more matches to wrap up your Saturday. Raz, here's your redemption moment with that match between Golden Guardians and Immortals, being that you are under the GG banner. Any nuggets you got for us?
Oh, except for a quick dub. I think Golden Guardians, all I'm saying, we're ramping up. We're getting close to that playoff mark. Whenever it gets late in the split, closer to playoffs, that's when you see the real GG come through.
You heard it here first, folks. But that's going to do it for us here on Friday Night League. We do return tomorrow for more LCS action. So on behalf of myself, the casters, and the entire remote broadcast crew, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. Until next time, good morning, afternoon, evening, and good night.